Yes, thank you, Corla. In any budget, the relevant ministers make decisions as to how they and their government will spend the taxes that each and every one of us will pay over the next 12 months. And they will also decide how much to borrow to fund their policies and programmes, again, safe in the knowledge that it will be the taxpayer or their descendants who will, in time, foot the bill. So it's important to say that it's not Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael or the Greens putting their hand in their pocket and allocating monies. They're actually putting their hand in the taxpayer's pocket and allocating that money. Now, that's fine. That's how it is. But with that comes huge responsibility in spending the nation's taxes and borrowing in the most efficient way. Any budget should provide a framework for economic development and ensure social solidarity. It should provide a safety net to those who need it. It should fund our essential public services, and it should provide incentives and supports to businesses across all sectors. It should ensure progressive taxation systems to underpin its investments. And we, as a people, need to have hope that its framework is sufficiently robust to withstand the impacts of a disorderly Brexit and to deal with both COVID and non-COVID healthcare issues. Now, in regard to the overall spend, we can borrow at negative interest rates right now. So today was the day to pump prime the economy and ensure that that safety net is in place for all who need it. We should have used it to properly support family carers. We should have used it to provide our defence forces with a decent salary. We should have used it to provide greater supports to those who largely, but not exclusively, live in rural areas and who are negatively affected by carbon taxes with no alternatives for public transport and, of course, increased costs to farmers. We should have used it to reinstate the PUP payments to their previous tiered levels with 350 as the highest payment. And I'm genuinely disappointed the government could not see its way to do this. We should have used it to further invest in capital projects. And while there is a review of the NDP next year, it should have happened sooner, and those projects should be up and running in 2021, because money is available now at a cost it may not be in 12 months' time. We should have used it to kickstart more ambitious carbon efficiency schemes that will deliver for the environment, for farmers and for householders. We should have used it to invest in the early childhood sector, where we still languish at the bottom of the European scale on spend. And we should have used it to be more ambitious on additional spend, as some of the figures are simply a rehash or a reheating of already announced projects. Now, Minister, this budget has many positive points, and I accept real improvements have been put in place for businesses, healthcare provision, for the tourism and arts sector. I welcome the 9% VAT rate, the rates waiver. But my focus this evening is to look at the gaps and suggest how they can be bridged. If there's one area, just one, where I'm particularly disappointed, is that many family carers are worse off after this budget than before. Yes, there's a €150 increase in the Carers Support Grant, but that won't be in place, Minister, until June 2021, and most family carers do not receive this payment. The fuel allowance is being increased, But carers' allowance is not a qualifying payment, so most family carers will not receive that benefit. Yes, there are 5 million additional home care hours, and that's really important. But, Minister, only 40% of day services for adults with disability have been reinstated. The plans are to increase that to 60%. But think about it. It still means that many families will experience a 40% reduction in their supports in the foreseeable future. And finally, the income disregard for carers' allowance has not increased in 13 years. This year was the year to do it. Now, looking at the budget through the lens of balanced regional development, the European Commission, in its 2020 country-specific reports, notes that regional disparities in Ireland are among the highest in the European Union. And what's more frightening is that the gap is widening year on year. Now, it's difficult to assess regional impact, as it's only when the programmes are rolled out that we can see the regional spend. But one thing is for sure, Minister, there needs to be a significant change in the planning and expenditure mindset. The most recent Northern and Western Regional Assembly report details huge underspends in that region, in the area, across sectors actually: health, education, national roads, local roads, housing, disposable income. The list goes on, Minister. But I have to say, one or two things jumped out at me. I heard my colleague Michael Fitzmaurice talk about the N4 and the N5. Much of this spending has already been allocated. He also mentioned just 2 ports, nothing else mentioned in this budget. And I also want to say that the budget talks about support for Cork and Shannon airports, which I fully support. But I didn't see Ireland West Airport Knock mentioned. I see money for broadband, but the question is this new money? Finally, Minister, Agri and Rural Development. It's largely a case of where you were with the rollover of schemes such as GLAS, ANC, sheep welfare. And I will come back to that tomorrow when I have another few minutes to address this House. So, finally, has the budget delivered? In terms of efficiency, that can only be decided this time next year. In terms of providing a safety net, yes, but there are holes in there for carers, early childhood provision, our defence forces and our PUP recipients. And in terms of the big-ticket items, you've gone part of the way, but greater ambition should have been shown.
Thank you very much, Deputy.
Never again have a chance to borrow at negative interest rates. We should have taken that chance today.
Thank you, Deputy.